Hello! Today we're going to make pierogies. So I'm going to start off by making some mashed potatoes with cheese in them, of course. I like the plain pierogies with cheese. I'm going to put cheddar cheese in it. My husband likes the ones with the jalapeno, but that's a little spicy for me. So today I'm going to make some just regular cheddar and potato pierogies for the grandsons that are going to be over this evening. So I'm going to start by making some mashed potatoes. So I have peeled about 9 small potatoes, and then I cubed them up into small pieces. I've got them in my pot here. I'm going to put some cold water on them with a good bit of salt because I like to salt them when I'm cooking them. And then I'm going to boil them until they're fork tender. Then we'll make our mashed potatoes. We'll add in about 8 to 12 ounces of a good cheddar cheese. And then we'll set that off to the side to cool, and we'll make our dough for our pierogies. So let's get these on the stove. Here I've got 8 ounces of white cheddar, and I'm just going to grind this up or shred it, whichever you prefer to say. And we'll add that to our mashed potatoes as soon as they're done. So I'll get this taken care of. Okay, so while my potatoes are cooking, I'm going to mix up the pierogi dough, and I'm going to do it in my stand mixer. And our ingredients are going to be 4 cups of all-purpose flour, which is 500 grams. It's going to be 1 cup plus 2.5 tablespoons of hot water, or 280 grams. 3 tablespoons butter, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to let that knead for about 5 minutes with the dough hook, on a low speed. And then we're going to let that dough rest for 30 minutes. And then we will start making our pierogies. So I'm going to go over here with the stand mixer and get that taken care of. I'll be right back. So the dough for pierogies is, it's very soft, it's very smooth, it's great to handle, but to roll it out, it's a little tougher than like a pasta dough. So I want to get it thin, but not too thin, because you don't want it to rip when you're cooking it. So what I've done is I've hooked up my pasta roller, and I'm rolling it on a 7, which is the highest setting. I'm rolling it by hand a little bit so that I can get it to go through on a 7. And then I'm taking it down to like a 4 or a 5. Don't go any thinner than that because it's going to rip when you try to fold it over. And then I don't have a pierogi cutter. I do have one on the way that I ordered. But what I'm using is, I'm using a mug. And because I was trying to use a lid for one of the rings for my ball mason jars, the wide mouth, but there's not enough to grab onto for me. So I'm using this, and then I'm going to fill my dough as soon as I get all my circles cut out. So I'll be back to show you how we do that. All right, so I have half my dough cut into little circles, and I wound up switching to a Yeti. Seemed to work even better. So I've got my little circles, and now I'm going to put some potato filling in the middle. I'm going to wet the edge, fold it over, and then I'll show you how we do that. So let me find my spoon. So these are my mashed potatoes. They've been sitting, they have cooled. They're not super cold, but they're cooler, so they're not going to be hard to work with. And I'm going to use a little scoop. I don't even know what size it is, but it's I use it for making cookies when I want to make a lot. When I make them for the grandkids, I use this little scoop, and then when I give them 2 cookies, they think I'm being super extra nice. So I'm going to put a scoop of mashed potatoes in there. And then you might need to stretch your dough just a little bit. It's not going to hurt it. But you're just going to stretch it over, and then you're going to fold it closed. You might need to poke your potatoes in there. So you're almost like making a taco. And then you're going to crimp around the edges like so. And then you can either just crimp them like that and be happy with it, or a lot of people like to then go back and just crimp it with a fork and just smash it around. Let me show you how that works. Let me grab a fork here. So I've got this, just a fork, and I'm just going to crimp the edge, and that'll keep it closed, keep your mashed potatoes from coming out. And it does make it look really pretty. So what I'm going to do with these, I am going to leave enough out so that we can have some for dinner tonight. I think the grandkids will like that. And then I'll put some onions and butter in a pan and saute that so that it can go on here. But what you're going to do is you're going to boil these in some salt water for, like, you're going to put them in. What you're going to do is you're going to bring your water to a rolling boil. You're going to put your pierogies in. They're going to sink to the bottom. As soon as they float, they're done and you can take them out. It's because your mashed potatoes are already cooked and your pasta is quite thin, so it doesn't take much to to cook it. And then my butter and onions that I have sauteing in another pan, I will just throw them in there for a couple seconds. My husband likes them he likes to brown them a little bit in the butter, but I don't need to. I can just put them in there, let them soak up a little bit of that yummy butter, and then we can serve them just like that. And you can have this as your main dish, or you can have this as a side dish to whatever meat you would like to cook with it. So there you have it, pierogies. And then the rest of these, like I said, I'm going to keep a couple out for our dinner tonight. The rest I'm going to flash freeze, and then I'm going to put them in some bags and freeze them in the freezer for just like when you have the store-bought ones. You can take them out whenever you're ready to use them and boil them. So I hope you enjoyed this video today, and I will put all the directions right down below. And I hope you come back, and I hope we can cook something else together. Like I said before, this is all pretty much new to me too. I'm trying in 2025 to get the processed food out of our diet and homemade food back on our diet. It's going to be healthier for us and the grandkids. So join me on my journey to cooking healthier meals. Thanks, and God bless. Here's some that I'm going to cook right now for Jack and I to taste test. The others are in the freezer, flash freezing. Voila, pierogies. I hope you make some for your loved ones today.